is that if you have fewer than 15 employees, you are not affected by having your website be ADA compliant. Now, recently, I actually had a client who got sued because her website was not compliant with the American Disabilities Act. Back in 2018, the Supreme Court basically said that any place of public accommodation had to be ADA compliant. That included websites, and websites that are considered public accommodation are those that are commercial in nature, i.e. you have an online store. By having an online store, you are automatically required to have your site be ADA compliant. Now, what can happen if you don't have it compliant? Well, basically, you can get sued, as I had a client have that happen to recently. And when you get sued, the lawyers take all the money, as it turns out. The people that are disabled, they don't ever see any money at all, and that's by law. So the lawyers are the ones that are suing you, and they're the ones that are taking all the money. You can get fined like $50,000 for your first offense and up to $150,000 for subsequent offenses. Now, by being ADA compliant, that basically means that your site needs to be readable by a screen reader. So someone that is visually impaired will be able to navigate your site. Somebody that is hearing impaired needs to also be able to navigate your site. So if you've got a bunch of videos and stuff, you have to transcribe your videos. If you have small fonts, you don't have any heading tags, you don't have alt tags attached to your images, all of these things can affect a visually impaired person. Contrast, if you don't have enough contrast between your letters, that can affect a visually impaired person. And those things will make your site get flagged as not being ADA compliant. So what do? Well, the first thing that you do is you do a manual audit, and you make sure that you can, in fact, have your site read by a screen reader. Secondly, you need to go in and fix all those problems. Make sure you have a single H1 tag on every page, make sure that all of your images have alt text associated with them and so forth. And then what I strongly recommend that you do, and I did on my own website, is add a software that makes your site accessible. The one that I'm using is called Accessiby, and you basically add this to your website. You pay them a monthly fee, of course, and it makes your site, it fixes all the other errors on your site that you may not be aware of. It's really critical if you have an e-commerce website that you make your site accessible so that you don't get sued. And I just wrote this blog post on this. It actually turns out there's some good business reasons to do this as well, in terms of attracting more customers and so forth. Now, this blog post that I wrote, it's actually been the most popular blog post I've had in the last several months. And people were writing in saying, hey, are you trying to give your customers heart attacks? And does this really apply to me? And man, I'm glad I've only got a informational site and not running an e-commerce site anymore. People, they are paying attention, but that's what I'm recommending you do, is you not only pay attention, but that you go out, and if you have your have an e-commerce website, you have an online shop, that you make your site accessible so that you are not vulnerable to these predatory lawsuits that are out there. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.